937H Loader Operation and Maintenance Manual. Dear customers, we are pleased that you have chosen the Sinomac 937H loader. To help you use this product more effectively, Sinomac will provide you with a detailed introduction to the various precautions for the operation and maintenance of the 937H loader. We believe that Sinomac products will bring you an excellent operating experience and greater value. This video consists of the following parts. Chapter 1 Machine Structure. Chapter 2 Safety Instruction. Chapter 3 Operational Instruction. Chapter 4 Maintenance Instruction. Chapter 1 Machine Structure. Nameplate. Chassis number. Front frame. Rear frame. Front axle. Brake. Rear axle. Brake. Boom. Rocker arm. Bucket. Bucket teeth. Boom cylinder. Dump cylinder. Steering. Steering cylinder. Air brake valve. Upper frame hinge. Lower frame hinge. Frame lock. Hydraulic oil tank. Fuel tank. Cabin. Engine cover. Condenser. Drying bottle. Engine. Engine nameplate. Air filter. Fuel injector. Fuel filter. Oil water separator. Oil filter. Oil pressure sensor. Water pump. Thermostat. Air intercooler. Radiator. Transmission oil cooler. AC compressor. Starter. Alternator. Electronic control unit. Dipstick. Air storage tank. Drain control lever. Unloading valve. Transmission oil fine filter. Brake booster. Counterweight. Reverse buzzer. Main power switch. Battery. Air pre-filter. Exhaust pipe. Torque converter. Transmission. Transmission gear pump. Working gear pump. Gear shift valve. Priority valve. Pilot supply valve. Main control valve. Chapter 2 Safety Instruction. Do not change the machine configuration without permission or identification from our technical team. Sinomac is not responsible for the safety problem or economic loss caused by that. Carefully read the operation manual. Recognize safety information and follow operation and maintenance instructions. Understand the caution and safety signals. Check and inspect machine before startup. Do all the preparations. Keep a safe distance from the loader boom from being stroked by falling objects. Keep hands and arms clear of frame hinge to avoid crushing hazard. Keep a safe distance from the back of the loader to avoid collision accidents. Keep your hands off the rotating fan to avoid shearing hazard. Watch out when entering the loader by steps to prevent slipping, tripping, and falling. Sound the horn before reversing or operating the loader to make sure there is no person in the working area. Avoid overhauling and maintaining the vehicle with the engine running. Turn off the power when overhauling the engine and electrical system. When the loader is driving, no passenger shall be carried in any place except the cabin. Reduce the driving speed while steering. Sudden steering or slowdown is not allowed. Try to avoid turning the loader on slopes. Drive slowly in rainy, snowy, and other bad weather conditions. No taxiing when going downhill. In the neutral position of the transmission, prevent engine stall. Prevent to drive fast while loading or unloading materials. Keep the material balanced in the bucket when graveling or shoveling. Prevent the transportation of materials when the bucket is raised to the highest position. Put stoppers under tires when stopping on a slope. Always turn off the power switch after working. Be sure to turn off this power switch during transportation, inspection, and maintenance. Chapter 3 Operational Instruction. Instrument panel. Engine coolant temperature gauge. Indicates the temperature of the engine coolant. Indication range, 40 to 120 degrees Celsius. Normal operating range is 40 to 100 degrees Celsius. When the engine coolant temperature exceeds 100 degrees Celsius, the combined warning indicator illuminates. When the gauge needle enters the red warning zone, park the machine in a safe location that allows for inspection. Check the engine cooling fan, drive belt, and radiator coolant level. Resume driving or operation only after the fault has been cleared. Note, when checking the engine cooling fan, belt, and radiator coolant level, take proper precautions against high temperatures to avoid burns. Hour meter indicates the total operating time of the machine, measured in hours. The hour meter has a counting range of 0 to 9,999.99 hours. When the engine is started, the hour meter begins counting simultaneously. Oil temperature gauge for torque converter outlet. Normal working temperature is 8110 degrees Celsius. The highest working temperature in a short period cannot exceed 120 degrees Celsius. When the temperature is close to the highest temperature, lower down the engine rotation speed or stop the working and wait the oil temperature lower down to normal. Voltmeter indicates the voltage fluctuation range. Indication range, 18-32 V. When the voltage drops below 18 V, the combined warning indicator illuminates. Engine oil pressure gauge indicates the engine lubricating oil pressure. Indication range, 0-1.0 MPa. When the oil pressure gauge needle enters the red warning zone, stop the machine immediately and perform an inspection. Do not continue operation or driving until the fault has been eliminated. Brake air pressure gauge displays the air pressure of the braking system in real time. Indication range, 0-1.0 MPa. When the air pressure is lower than 0.4 MPa, the brake will be ineffective. Don't operate the loader until the pressure rises. If the air pressure doesn't increase, stop the loader immediately for inspection. Rocker switch assembly. Front work light switch controls the switching on and off of the front work lights. Rear work light switch controls the switching on and off of the rear work lights. Heater switch controls the on-off circuit of the heating system. Wiper switch controls the switching on and off of the windshield wiper. Instrument light switch controls the switching on and off of the instrument panel lights. Air conditioning panel switch. This switch must be turned on before using the air conditioning control panel. Hazard warning switch controls the emergency warning lights of the loader. The left and right turn indicators flash simultaneously to warn pedestrians. OBD port, loader data diagnostic interface. Gear shift lever. The gear shift lever is located at the lower left of the steering wheel and controls forward, neutral, and reverse movement of the machine. A high/low range selector lever for the transmission is provided on the left side of the seat. Pushing the selector lever forward engages the low speed range. Then move the lever under the steering wheel to positions 2, 1, or R. These positions correspond to second forward gear, first forward gear, and first reverse gear, respectively. Pulling the selector lever backward engages the H high-speed range. Then move the lever under the steering wheel to positions 2, 1, or R. These positions correspond to fourth forward gear, third forward gear, and second reverse gear, respectively. In all cases, when the lever under the steering wheel is in the N position, the transmission is in neutral. Note, turning the steering wheel slightly while operating the high/low range selector makes gear engagement easier. Parking brake lever. With the engine stopped or idling, pulling up the lever locks the drivetrain to prevent the loader from moving. Lowering the lever releases the lock. Accelerator pedal. It controls the fuel supply quantity to engine. The engine is running at idling speed when the accelerator pedal is not depressed. When the accelerator pedal is stepped on, the engine speed increases as the fuel supply increases. Service brake pedal. The service brake system of this machine is a single pedal, single line system. Depressing the service brake pedal applies braking to both the front and rear drive axles and simultaneously activates the brake light switch, causing the brake lights to illuminate. Releasing the service brake pedal disengages the service brakes. Note, don't use a handbrake while the loader is still traveling except for emergencies. Working equipment control lever. This machine uses a single joystick pilot valve to control the working equipment. When the joystick is in the neutral position, the working equipment does not operate. With the engine running, pulling the joystick backward raises the boom. Returning the joystick to the neutral position stops the boom movement. Pushing the joystick forward lowers the boom. Moving the joystick to the left causes the bucket to roll back. Moving the joystick to the right causes the bucket to dump forward. Small movements of the joystick allow control of the opening of the multi-way control valve ports. Together with engine speed, this enables precise control of the working equipment's movement position and operating speed. When the joystick is pushed fully forward, the boom enters the float mode. To cancel the boom float mode, simply pull the boom control lever back to the neutral position. During leveling operations, pushing the boom control lever into the float position allows the bucket to follow ground undulations, thereby preventing damage to the road surface. Air conditioning control panel. Controls the fan speed of the air conditioning system. Controls the temperature of the air conditioning cooling mode. Switch between internal circulation or external circulation, spare. Right side rocker switch panel. Rear wiper washer switch. When the engine fault indicator on the right side of the panel lights up, press this switch. The fault type can then be identified by the number of flashes of the engine fault indicator on the instrument panel below the steering wheel. Rear wiper washer switch. Cab roof warning light switch. Engine power mode selector knob. Turn the knob according to working conditions to select among 3 different operating modes for improved fuel efficiency. Engine preheating indicator lamp. 24V power outlet, cigarette lighter/power socket. Check before starting up. Check bucket and loader frame weld joint for cracks. Please pay attention to cracks if any in the upper and lower limit blocks of the bucket. Check oil tube for aging cracks. Check underneath loader for leakage of coolant, oil or water. Look for cracks or bumps on tires and check tire pressure. Low tire pressure leads to insufficient loading capacity and shortened working life. High tire pressure leads to more violent vibration and heavier tire abrasion. Check tire bolts if any loosen happened. Check that the cabin windows are in good condition and clean. Check coolant level. Release internal pressure before opening water tank. Check engine oil level. Confirm whether the engine oil is sufficient. Check the transmission oil level and ensure it is above the dipstick mark. Observe the diesel fuel meter. Check if fuel is sufficient. Use filter screen before refueling and try to fill up the fuel tank to reduce water condensation. Discharge water in air tank. Pull out the drain valve handle installed on the frame to discharge accumulated water. After draining, release the handle and it will return automatically. Notice, if the water in air tank is not discharged as required, brake performance will be impacted or invalidated. Check that operating lever for transmission is in neutral position. Ensure the bucket is in the lowest position on ground. Check the position and cleanness of the rear view mirror. After starting, put in the starting key and turn the key clockwise to connect starter motor and start the engine. Starting time is normally less than 10 seconds. If the engine does not start within 10 seconds, wait for 1 minute and repeat the starting process. If the engine still not started after 5 attempts, look for the cause and try again after troubleshooting. After engine started, gradually press the accelerator to preheat the engine at 1200 RPM and pressurize the air tank. Precautions when starting. When the flywheel of the engine and the starter motor have not completely stopped rotating, do not combine to start again. Otherwise it may damage the starter motor gear and flywheel ring gear. Don't travel at high speed or at full load when the engine water temperature is below 55 degrees Celsius or oil temperature is lower than 45 degrees Celsius, especially in winter. Don't cut off the power switch while the engine is running, otherwise the generator will be damaged. Don't run up the engine at a low RPM for a long time. In cold regions, it's necessary to preheat hydraulic oil after starting up the engine and repeatedly raise the boom and tip the bucket to warm up the loader. Meanwhile, the engine must not run at high speed. Check the indicator signal for steering lamp. Check the horn honking. Check the color of exhaust gas. Check the steering wheel and inspect the reliability and airtightness of the steering system. Keep the rotation speed of engine is higher than 1000 revolutions per minute to ensure the steering performance. Check the lighting system. Traveling. Release the parking brake and operate the control lever to raise the bucket 40 cm above the ground. The wheel loader 937H adopts hydraulic transmission shift mechanism. Parking is not required when changing the speed stage. While shifting from low speed to high speed. In order to shift gears smoothly and reduce the shock, speed up the loader first, then slightly release the accelerator when pushing the lever. On the contrary, while shifting from high speed to low speed, lower down the speed first, then press the accelerator when pulling the lever. Do press the brake pedal before the loader changes the direction to move forward or reverse and release the brake after changing the direction. Otherwise the transmission system will be severely impacted or the clutch will be burnt out. Loader operation. While working with bucket, the loader should straightly insert into the materials at speed level 1 other than rushing into the materials at high speed by the force of inertia. Excavation and loading work. Lower the bucket as close as practical to the ground and create a 3° 5° angle between the bottom of bucket and the ground. Pull the operating lever to the middle position and move towards the materials to be loaded at speed level 1. When the bucket is inserted into the material pile, the boom operating lever can be pulled to the lifting position. At this time, increase the throttle to continue cutting into the material pile. At the same time, the dump operating lever can be quickly moved left and right, so that the bucket can be filled with materials as much as possible. After the bucket is fully loaded, the operating lever returns to the neutral position, and the reverse gear is used to make the loader quickly withdraw backwards. If the transporting distance is long, operate the boom to lower the bucket to about 350 mm from the ground, so that the machine has the best stability. If the truck to be filled is nearby, You can continue to operate the bucket to raise it to a proper unloading height when the loader exits the material pile. Transporting work. The wheel loader can perform transporting work in following conditions. When the road surface is too soft and the site is uneven and trucks cannot enter the stacking site. The transporting distance is within 500 m and it is a waste of time for driving a truck. During transporting process, tilt the bucket to the upper extreme position and maintain the bucket at the position of 350 mm above the ground. Loading materials to truck. Raise the loader boom so that the bucket is higher than the truck. Approach the truck at speed level 1. Tread down the brake pedal when the bucket entering the unloading area. Push the control lever to the right to slowly unload the material into the truck bed. If materials stick to the bucket, pull the bucket control lever left and right to slightly shake the bucket to dump out remaining materials. Pull back the bucket. The loader exits backwards, lower down the boom and start a second excavation and loading work. Notice: when dumping the material at a high position, don't lift the arms without tipping the bucket, so as to avoid the piston rod being pulled out from the cylinder. After materials have been discharged and before the loader changes the driving direction from backward to forward, depress the brake first to prevent impacts to the transmission clutch. Shut down the loader. Reduce the engine speed and depress the brake pedal to parking the loader. Push the operating lever to neutral position. Release the brake pedal and pull up the hand brake lever. Reduce the engine speed to 801,000 rpm. Keep it idling for 3-5 minutes and gradually cool the engine. Lay the working device flat on the ground and return all the operating levers to neutral position. Rotate the key to off position to shut down the engine. Turn off the mains power switch to cut off the power. Long-term storage. Clean the entire machine and allow it to dry thoroughly. Lubricate all pins and apply a thin layer of grease to the exposed piston rods of the hydraulic cylinders. Remove the battery and store it separately. Start the machine once a month and operate all systems to keep them in working condition. Chapter 4 Maintenance Instruction. Periodic maintenance of the engine air intake system. Maintain the air filter only when the engine stops. Check the air filter for loose connections. Warning: incorrect maintenance methods will greatly shorten the service life of the engine. When the air intake restriction indicator turns red, alarm, the outer air filter element must be serviced. Release all the latches on the air cleaner housing. Remove the dust cup and clean out the accumulated dust. Turn the filter locking cover counterclockwise, remove it, and pull out the outer filter element. Use compressed air to blow off the dust on the outer filter element from the inside outward. The air pressure must not exceed 0.5 MPa. If there is a large amount of dust on the outer surface of the filter element, gently tap it by hand to loosen the dust. Do not clean the outer filter element with oil or water. After servicing, carefully inspect the outer filter element. If any damage or defects such as loose end cap rubber seals are found, replace it with a new filter assembly. The safety, inner, filter element inside the outer filter must not be removed or cleaned. Ensure that the safety filter element is replaced at the same time as the outer filter element. During installation, pay attention to the following. Ensure that the end face of the filter element is properly sealed with no air leakage. The air cleaner housing must not be deformed. The latches on the dust cup must be securely fastened to ensure proper sealing. The rubber dust discharge valve must face vertically downward. It is strictly prohibited to operate the machine without the rubber dust discharge valve installed. After the outer filter element has been serviced 3 to 6 times, it should be replaced with a new filter assembly in a timely manner. Shorten the check and maintenance intervals for harsh work conditions. Periodic maintenance of the engine fuel system. The first maintenance of the new machine is at 50 working hours. Need to replace the diesel filter and fuel oil water separator. Wipe contaminations from the diesel filter enclosure and base. Dismantle the old diesel filter with the special tool. Clean the filter base. Make sure the sealing area has been cleaned. Otherwise it will lead to poor sealing. Apply clean diesel to the gasket of the new filter and fill the filter element with fuel. And install the new diesel filter on the filter element base. After the sealing gasket contacts the mounting base, tighten 1/2 3/4 turn with a special tool. Drain off the water inside the oil water separator before starting your work every day. Replace the diesel filter and oil water separator after 500 operating hours. Periodic maintenance of the engine lubrication system. Shortly after stopping the engine and when the engine oil is still warm, remove the drain plug on the engine oil pan to drain the engine oil. Wipe off dirt from the oil filter housing. Use a suitable tool to remove the oil filter cover. Clean the sealing surfaces of the filter housing and the cover. Otherwise, poor sealing may occur. Place the new oil filter element into the filter housing. Apply clean engine oil to the sealing gasket between the cover and the filter housing, and fill the filter with engine oil. Tighten the cover onto the filter housing by hand. Then use a tool to tighten it an additional 1/2 to March 4th turn. Clean the mounting surface of the oil pan drain plug, then tighten the plug. Open the filler cap. Refuel lubricating oil according to the oil grade and specification requirement. Stop the loader on the flat ground. Start the diesel engine and stop it after running for 3 minutes. Leave the loader stationary for 5 minutes to allow sufficient time for the oil to flow back to the oil pan. Check the oil dipstick of the engine. The oil level should be in the middle of the upper and lower engraved lines on the dipstick. The first maintenance of the new machine is at 50 working hours. Need to replace the engine oil and engine oil filter. Every 250 hours thereafter. Need to replace the engine oil and engine oil filter. 15W/40 cf for engine oil is recommended for routine use. If the working temperature is lower than -15 degrees Celsius, 10W/40 cf for oil is more suitable for engine start and to ensure sufficient oil supply. In severe cold regions, if the diesel engine always works at the ambient temperature below -23 degrees Celsius and there are no thermal insulation measures after the diesel engine stops running, low temperature resistant 5W/30 SJ/cf for engine lubricating oil is a better choice. Each wheel loader consumes 17 liters this kind of engine oil. Periodic maintenance of the transmission. The first warranty for a new machine is 100 hours. Transmission oil needs to be changed. The transmission coarse filter element needs to be replaced. The transmission fine filter element needs to be replaced. Every 500 hours thereafter. Transmission oil needs to be changed. The transmission coarse filter element needs to be replaced. The transmission fine filter element needs to be replaced. The consumption of gearbox oil platform is 37 liters. Under normal temperature conditions, number 8 hydraulic transmission oil should be used. Under cold temperature conditions, number 8D hydraulic transmission oil should be used. Periodic maintenance of the hydraulic system. Initial service interval, 500 operating hours. The hydraulic tank suction and return filter elements must be replaced. Check the hydraulic oil level every 50 hours. The hydraulic oil, suction filter element, and return filter element should be replaced every 2000 operating hours or once a year. Dismantle the inlet and return oil filter element and clean them with diesel. Pay attention to see if there are metal impurities or foreign bodies. Each loader needs 150 liters hydraulic oil. Number 46 anti-wear hydraulic oil is recommended for summer. Number 32 anti-wear hydraulic oil is recommended for winter. Periodic maintenance of the drive axle. The first service interval for a new machine is 500 operating hours. Need to be replaced the gear oil. The gear oil must be replaced every 1000 operating hours thereafter. Drain off the gear oil of front and rear drive axle. Clean the debris and contaminations off the axle case. Add gear oil until it overflows from the oil filler bolt hole on the side of the axle case. Turn the oil drain bolt on the hub reduction gear of the drive axle to the lowest position. Turn it back to the center position after the gear oil has been completely discharged. Add approximately 3 liters of gear oil until it overflows. Each loader needs 37 liters gear oil. For drive axle and hub reduction gear. Under normal temperature conditions, 85 W/90 GL 5 heavy-duty vehicle gear oil should be used. Under cold temperature conditions, 75 W/90 GL 5 heavy-duty vehicle gear oil should be used. Daily maintenance of the braking system. After work every day. The drain valve of the compressed air tank should be opened. Discharge water in the compressed air tank. If the water in the compressed air tank is not discharged as required, brake performance will be impacted or invalidated. Daily inspection of brake fluid oil cup liquid level. Visually check that the front and rear brake fluid oil cups are within the engraved range of the brake fluid cups. When changing brake fluid, it's necessary to vent the braking system. Press the brake pedal when the brake pressure raises to 0.6 MPa. Loosen the bleed screw. Tighten the bleed screw and release the brake pedal after venting. Repeat the above steps until the brake fluid discharged from the bleed screw can be sprayed far away and does not contain air bubbles. Tighten the bleed screw, clean up the fluid spilled out, fill up the brake fluid and close the container cap. Check the brake fluid level after every 10 working hours. And fill it up if the fluid is not enough. Every 1000 hours thereafter, need to change brake fluid. Each wheel loader needs about 2.1 liters brake fluid. Use DOT3 brake fluid or above. Notice, don't mix different kinds of brake fluid. Daily maintenance of the cooling system. Check the coolant level after the engine has cooled down. Slowly turn on the radiator cap to release internal pressure and remove the radiator cap. Check the radiator filler neck. The normal coolant level should be close to the top. Handling of abnormal coolant level. If the level is too low, refill with specified coolant or a mixture of coolant and distilled water. The use of mineral water is prohibited. If the level is too high or drops rapidly, check for leakage, scale buildup, or system faults. To prevent damage to the engine. Don't add coolant while the engine is at operating temperature. Allow the engine to cool down before adding coolant. Choose suitable coolant of different freezing points according to local temperature. Generally, the freezing point of coolant is 10 degrees Celsius lower than local temperature. Daily maintenance requirements for the electrical system. Check the tension of engine belt and generator belt. Appropriate belt flexivity is 10 to 15 millimeters. A too tight belt results in damage of water pump bearing and generator bearing. A too loose belt results in belt slippage, reduced working life of belt and overheat of the engine. Check the starting motor and generator for loose connector lugs. Check all the fuses inside the fuse box one by one. General fuse specification, 10A, 15A, or 20A. For maintenance-free storage battery, check the color of indicator light regularly. Green indicates sufficient battery. Black indicates that the battery is low and the battery needs to be charged. Daily maintenance of the air conditioning system. Check the tension of air condition compressor belt. Press down the belt with a force of about 98 N. The suitable lowering height of the belt is 8 to 10 mm. Visually inspect the flow of refrigerant in the sight glass of the reservoir for the presence of bubbles. The existence of bubble indicates insufficient refrigerant. No bubbles means normal. Periodic maintenance of the working device and structural parts. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the pin shaft at the front end of the boom. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the pin shaft at the rear end of the boom. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the pin shaft at the rear end of the lift cylinder and the pin shaft at the front end of the piston rod. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the pin shaft at the rear end of the dump cylinder and the pin shaft at the front end of the piston rod. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the pin shaft of the rocker arm. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the front and rear pins of the tie rod. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the pin shaft at the rear end of the steering cylinder and the pin shaft at the front end of the piston rod. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the upper and lower hinges. After every 250 hours of work, add additional grease to the swing frame of the rear drive axle. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the front drive shaft and the middle drive shaft. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the upper transmission shaft. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the rear transmission shaft. After every 250 hours of operation, add additional grease to the cab door hinge. After every 250 operating hours, apply grease to the radiator guard door hinges. Daily maintenance of the transmission system. After every 50 hours of work, check whether the bolts and nuts connecting the front and rear frame and the front and rear axles are missing or loose. After every 50 hours of work, check whether the connecting bolts at the upper drive shaft, front drive shaft, middle drive shaft, and rear drive shaft are loose. After every 50 hours of work, check the gap at the middle support of the drive shaft. After every 50 hours of work, check whether the engine anchor bolts are loose. After every 50 hours of work, check whether the gearbox anchor bolts are loose. Periodic inspection of tire pressure. Check air pressure of 4 tires after every 50 working hours. Tire specification, 17.5-25-12 PR. Front tire pressure, 0.28 to 0.30 MPa. Rear tire pressure, 0.28 to 0.30 MPa. The removal, repair, and installation of tires and rims require special equipment and professional skills. Be sure to have this work carried out by a qualified tire service shop or by specially trained personnel, and observe all relevant safety regulations.